mulimenero kusuziri mtsogoleri wa dziko lino Dr. Lazarus Makatha Chakwera wafika pano pa BICC komwe ndi pali msonkhano umenewu wa Dynamic Leaders and Gatekeepers Forum DLGF 2024. Kosa ina pa nyimbo ya fuko lathu.
Your Excellency, distinguished delegates, we will now receive a statement from the Chief Executive of Macra, who's our headliner partner this year. So please put your hands together as we welcome the CEO of Macra to give us a statement. Thank you.
Thank you. Your Excellency, the State President of the Republic of Malawi, Dr. Lazarus Makatha Chakwera, Your Honor, the Vice President of the Republic of Malawi, Dr. Michael Biswick-Usi, Cabinet Ministers, Deputy Ministers present, Reverend Dr. Zach Kawalala, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, allow me to ride on the already established protocols. Your Excellency, unlike the very Reverend me, I have a PowerPoint presentation. So I need to declare my conflict there. Instead of looking at just rebuilding the nation, I want to talk to you about building a digital nation. Let's go next. So why should we talk about a digital Malawi? A digital Malawi is necessary because we need to leverage on technology and internet for this particular reason, so that we can enhance public service delivery. The issues that the Reverend was complaining about, Digital Malawi clears that. And most importantly, we promote economic development. Finally, we're doing all this to improve the quality of life for every Malawian, 20 million of them, regardless of where they are. Next. Why a digital Malawi? We are now in an era that is called fourth industrial revolution. We cannot run away. We're in a global digital village. We are a country blessed with a huge resource. Our average age in this country, Your Excellency, is 17 years. That of the United States of America is 38 years. And that of the European Union, the EU, their average age, they're 44. What is that speaking? We have human capital, we have human capacity that we need to build so that we can take care of that opportunity. The other nations are aging, ours is growing. Most importantly, the 17 SDGs that the United Nations is pushing, 70% of them get accomplished by the use of technology. You take out technology and digitalization, you miss 70% of your SDG goals. And therefore, for Malawi to move towards the Agenda 2060, as we've accomplished MIP1, digitalization, which is key to digital transformation and economic growth, social inclusion, and most importantly, government efficiency are key enablers that are going to move us to the next stage. But as we move towards a digital space, we meet global opportunities. A kid now can be in Chena, access a mobile phone, apply for a job at Microsoft, get admitted and attend an interview with Microsoft while living and sitting in Chena without a passport, and they can get employed. Global opportunities. You don't need to access an airport to get employed by Google. But that also opens up the other door. We're now open to global cyber threats. And we must balance the two things. On one hand, we have global opportunities. On the other hand, we have global cyber threats. Next. So the current state, let's take stock. Malawi, where are we? As a nation, 34% internet penetration. Over the past 3 years, Your Excellency, under your leadership, we have moved by about 15 percentage points in as far as internet penetration is concerned in Malawi. Numbers verified by the GSM and ITU. Further to that, we have registered 14 million SIM cards, but what's worrying, Your Excellency, is that 1 million of those SIM cards are in smartphones. 13 million of those SIM cards are in Mamose Walero. So there is a digital divide that we need to start addressing. Further to that, 16%, roughly thereabout, of Malawians have access to energy. You need energy to charge your smartphones and your smart surfaces. And further to that, low digital literacy. A good number of people present in here, Your Excellency, have been swindled by those Ntukulapa Como people. But they're very high-level people. They cannot raise a hand if I was to ask. But we know, on average, Your Excellency, we're losing about $1.5 million to mobile money fraud that is being perpetuated in this country. And it's across the social spectrum, CEOs to garden boys, everyone. Low digital literacy. As I mentioned, high cost of smart devices. We need more Malawians to have access to smart devices, to smart surfaces. And finally, we have a very undefined GDP. We have a very undefined digital economy, because we cannot put that cost, we cannot count how much of contribution to our GDP is coming in from digital means, both that is physical and digital goods. The moment we start to account for that, then we begin to define how big is our digital economy and where we should be going to. And finally, we have very poor cyber laws. As I mentioned, we live in a global village. The standards of cybersecurity that are in America, they are the same standards of cybersecurity that should be in Malawi. An email in Malawi works the same way as an email in Japan or as an email in South Africa. We cannot lower our standards because we're Malawi. Next. So what are the key pillars for us to build a digital Malawi? First of all, we need digital infrastructure. It's pleasing, Your Excellency, to see that the physical infrastructure in Lilongwe is expanding. Roads are now going to 3-4 lanes. Why is that so? Because we need more people to travel on the physical roads. We need to build more digital roads in Malawi so that more and more people in Lilongwe can also travel in the digital space. We need to have e-government services. Queues. How many of us don't like queues? But now if we were to go to road traffic, if we were to go to immigration, if we were to go to a bank, you're going to find queues because we have a lack of e-government services at play. And then we also have the digital economy, startups, new ideas that are coming in, innovations that are coming in. Do we have a space where we can facilitate for the growth of those ideas so they become SMEs, they employ people, they contribute to the economy? And then we also have the issue of cybersecurity and the issue of digital literacy. Now, let me expand a bit more on each of those pillars. Let's go next. Malawi's digital infrastructure. First of all, we need to broaden broadband access. Broadband internet is the alternative to what we get on Airtel and TNM. What we get on Airtel and TNM, that is mobile internet, and it is concentrated in urban areas because that's where they make their money. 20% of Malawians live in urban areas. 80% of Malawians are in rural areas. So there is one initiative called Yatu Yatu Data. If you open your phone and scroll through your Wi-Fi settings, you're going to see Yatu Yatu Data, which is an initiative from Macra and other corporations to try and go to the rural areas so that we can bring high-speed internet that is powered by Starlink so that we broaden access to fiber internet, to high-speed internet and broadband. We need to have data centers. We cannot have our Malawian data being processed in America or in South Africa. Malawian data must be processed within Malawi. But as we build that, we need to ensure that within our internet setup, local data remains local. That's why we have that IXP, which is called Internet Exchange Points. Should subsea cables be cut or the internet is down, but my access to MRA should be there. An email that gets sent from Capitol Hill to MRA should arrive because the email is coming from Lilongwe going to Blantyre. No need for an email to leave Capitol Hill to go to London and get switched back to Joburg and come to Blantyre. Local data should remain local. We need to invest in data centers and internet exchange points. Next. E-government services. Your Excellency, in any economy, the biggest customer is government. In any economy, the biggest seller is government. If Malawi government is not present on the digital surfaces, then that means the biggest buyer and the biggest seller is not available. If we move e-government services quicker to digital surfaces, it means that we now begin the process of opening up that digital space. The biggest buyer is present. That means more transactions are going to happen. Organically, everyone would want to use their mobile phone because no need for me to leave here to go to road traffic to renew my driver's license. I can do that from my mobile phone. I can pay for that. Renewal, and that driver's license should come to me because we now have national addressing system. Every road in the country has been named. Every building in the country has been numbered. We can pinpoint where anyone lives. Therefore, a parcel that has been ordered from immigration services, a passport, should arrive at my house at any point in time. Very good examples. Bangladesh, Your Excellency, 5 years ago was the least developed country. Today, Bangladesh is no longer in our port. It has graduated. 70% of that graduation is attributed to digitizing their manufacturing and the textile industries. Rwanda, their e-government services have been fully digitized. Their local domestic revenue has been boosted by over 50% by the use of technology. Kenya, a serious digital economy that has come on the spot, largely because government services are available on smart devices. We need to move there. Next. And then obviously then the issue of digital, the digital economy. We cannot have a digital economy without incubation hubs, without startups that are being supported. The support to startups creates a new industry and a new way of doing things, which is quicker, which helps us to resolve most of our local problems using local solutions. And it has been documented by the World Bank that if you push 10% more internet penetration in your country, your GDP grows by an average of 2 to 3%. Just by pushing 10% more internet penetration. That results in what is now being called GDP-B, which is now measuring the effect and the impact of digitalization and digital services on the growth of local economies. The World Bank and other economies are now measuring their GDP-Bs. We need to be in that spot. Let's go next. Malawi cyber security. As I mentioned, we cannot be in an isolated spot. Our cyber security laws, as of today, they are of 2016. And we all know the processes to get a law to get passed. It means the thinking is around 2010 or 2009. In 2024, we now have WhatsApp, we now have all sorts of things that are happening. The digital game has shifted a lot. The laws have not shifted. We need to move quickly so that we can align the laws and what is happening on the digital front. In that case, we have started the process of reviewing the cyber security law, as well as bringing in what is called the cyber crimes law and e-evidence law, so that we can align where the digital space and where our people are. Most importantly, the judiciary, it needs to be empowered. The judiciary needs to understand that we are now in a new era and the game has changed. Most importantly, capacity for law enforcement agencies. They should not just get excited and pounce on people. They should not just apply the law willy-nilly, but there must be a way in which the law enforcement officers and agencies are approaching their work, because we are now living in a totally different environment, in a very digital world, which requires a different way and a different perspective of how we deal with it. Lastly, public awareness. As Macra and as the Data Protection Authority, I think we have not done very well to raise awareness on issues of cybersecurity. And this is why mostly when some of these arrests are happening, people are feigning ignorance and surprise. And yet the law is 2016, as I mentioned, but we have not taken it out. We have not unpacked it. We have not really broken it down to the letter, to the T, so that everyone, whether you're in a rural area or you're in an urban area, you should understand that in the digital space, there are lines and there are rules that you need to play by. Next. The issue of digital literacy. We cannot be talking about rebuilding the nation and going towards a digital state if we are not building the digital building blocks from primary school. We need to revisit our curricula in public schools to introduce issues of digital citizenship. In primary school, I learned in civics that before you cross the road, you need to look left, right, and left again, and then cross. Because back then, I think there were maybe 4 or 5 cars in a day that will pass through Chiwogo Primary School. Today, it's a different ballgame. We now have our kids crossing and walking on digital roads. Are we teaching them how to look left, to look right before they cross a certain link or before they cross a certain website? So we need to go to public schools. Those kids in rural areas, they need to become aware of the new environment that they're in. But as they graduate to secondary schools, we now need to start building skills. Remember, we have 17-year-olds as an average, and we have a workforce that we need to empower with new digital skills. Computer programming. Can we begin to teach our kids in rural schools how to code and how to write computer programs? And then finally, let's ensure that there is inclusivity across the spectrum. Whether they are in rural areas or they're in urban areas, they need to be included on the digital bus, because the digital bus is going in one direction and it is going at the same speed. So we cannot have kids in Bishop Mackenzie moving very, very fast than a kid in Chiwogo Primary School. Both kids are Malawians, and both kids need to be exposed to the same opportunities and to the same world. And therefore, on the public school side, we need to up our game and we need to move very, very quickly, so that the opportunities that this kid at Bishop Mackenzie and St. Andrews is being exposed to, that kid at Chinteje Primary School must also be exposed to the same opportunities. Next. When we talk about digitalization, there are case studies and there is evidence that nations that embraced digitalization have seen a change. Bangladesh, as I mentioned, it has graduated. It is no longer a poor nation, largely because of digitalization of their public service delivery. Rwanda, their e-government services have been digitized to the extent that over 50% of their domestic revenue is coming from SMEs that are paying tax by using e-government services, a service called Irembo. We have Estonia, outside of Africa in Europe. They have what is called an EID, Estonia ID. You don't need multiple IDs for you to move around in Estonia. You can be in Malawi and you can apply for a citizenship in Estonia. Never ever set foot in Estonia. They'll vet you, they'll do the due diligence on you, they'll give you the citizenship. That's the global world that we live in. And these are examples of countries that have taken a deliberate approach, and they've decided that digitalization is the bus that we're going to jump on. And Malawi can become the next example that someone cites the impact of digitalization on a nation. Let's go next. In conclusion, Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a responsible digital Malawi is possible, Responsibility, as the Reverend did mention, it's cutting across. CSOs have a responsibility in the digital space. Regulators have a responsibility in the digital space. Capitol Hill has a responsibility in the digital space. The citizens have a responsibility in the digital space. We need more investments in ICT, both public and private. We need to ensure that our laws and our policies have been adjusted to suit the environment and to suit the trends around us. We need to ensure that there is digital skills development that is deliberate. Kutiveti, antasamangobanga za uplambala ndi za umakaniko. Kutiveti kukhaleso kuzituluka nyamata ota kuigwira kompyuta ndi kuisokoneza mwabwino. And we need to ensure that as a nation and as a people, we begin to exercise proper cyber hygiene. Mose kwachera kumango nyoza anthu, mose kwachera kumango nyoza dziko lako, mose kwachera kumango tumiza zolakwika zokhazoka za Malawi. If someone Googles Malawi, all they see is a negative perspective, as if we're in a nation that is under war, and yet we are one of the most peaceful nations with beautiful people and beautiful lakes. Cyber hygiene, personal responsibility that each one of us needs to take. Next. I thank you very much, Your Excellency, for God, for my country. Thank you very much.
We've learnt a new one today, cyber hygiene. Please, another round of applause for the Director General. We can see that they are ready to rebuild the nation digitally.